If we can make this work, then how much money are we going to save? I always do this on camera. I always make such a mess. Today's video is how to make a DIY dupe for both resin and pouring glazes. You see this glossy finish? It's not a resin and it's not a store-bought glaze either. It's a simple recipe using supplies you probably already have at home. I'm going to show you a step-by-step how to mix it, pour it, and get that same stunning high gloss look that's safer, cheaper, and just as beautiful as any resin or glaze. Let's get started. Okay, this is a fun one and it's really easy to do. Resins, pouring glaze, even the Mod Podge Dimensional Magic are really expensive. And I have a recipe that's a dupe for some of these products that works fantastic. What you're gonna need is some Varathane. This is water-based and you wanna make sure you're using a semi-gloss, or even a gloss is even better. I didn't have any gloss in my stash, but I did have semi-gloss. You can also use a polyacrylic sealer if you don't have the Varathane. Just make sure that it is water-based. You can't use something that is oil-based because they're not going to mix together, and it's also going to yellow over time. You're going to also need some clear Elmer's glue or any type of PVA glue that is clear, and you're going to need just a touch of some dish soap. You're going to use 2 tablespoons of the Varathane or the polyacrylic sealer. Of course, you're going to mix up how much you need for your project. I'm going to be doing a block of wood that I have decoupaged a piece of scrapbooking paper on it, and I want to have a really nice glossy finish. And I've got 2 pieces of jewelry, so I don't need a lot. Actually, I think I'm going to use probably 3. I'm going to need a bit more. So 3 tablespoons of the Varathane, water-based, or you can use the polyacrylic. And the mixture is 2 to 1. So we're going to do 2 parts Varathane to 1 part of the clear glue. Let's take this lid right off. So we're going to do 1.5. You want to be really careful when you're doing this because we don't want to incorporate any bubbles into it. We want a nice smooth texture. We're just going to kind of mix this together really carefully, making sure we're not getting any bubbles, mixing that PVA clear glue and the Varathane together. Like I said before, this is a semi-gloss. A gloss will work really nice. Try not to use a matte finish. It just doesn't look as nice. Slowly incorporate this together. Now, here's the magic part of it. You want just a little tiny drop of dish soap. Why it works, I have no idea. I'm not a chemist. All I do know is it helps bring, if there is any bubbles, it helps bring the bubbles up to the surface. So you just want a little tiny drop like that. If there's anybody in the comments that knows the actual chemistry behind this, then let me know. Now this has got a little bit of a blue tinge to it, but once we get it mixed all together, it's going to go away because we're using such a little amount of it. And slowly, you can see I've got a little bubble starting there because I incorporated it a bit too fast together. So we're just gonna go really slow. Now, the next thing that you wanna do after you've got it incorporated really well, let's let this sit for 5 minutes. And that's going to bring any bubbles that we have created to the surface, and we can pop them or get rid of them before we start our pour. So I've got this incorporated really well. Let's sit it for 5 minutes and we'll be back. Okay, it's been 5 minutes. I don't have very many bubbles. You can pick up your dish and you can give it a little bit of a bang. That might bring some bubbles up from the bottom, but I think we did pretty good. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to pull my stool out. We're going to start in the middle and just pour some on. I got some paper towel because I had made a mess before. We'll put that on. And you don't want to use a brush to incorporate it. You just want to just pour it, just move it around. If you're using a brush, you're going to incorporate bubbles in it and it's not going to look as nice. So I don't have quite enough here, but I'm going to move it around. I'm going to pour on a little bit more. And this is going to dry crystal clear and have a beautiful, thick, glossy look that is going to be like resin or like the pouring glazes or like that Mod Podge Dimensional Magic, which is super crazy expensive for how much you get for this. So if we can make this work, then how much money are we going to save? Now you want to be careful that you're not, I'm talking and not paying attention. You don't want it rolling off the sides. You want to keep that ledge on there. We're going to add a little bit more and pour. Move it around. I don't see very many, I don't actually see any bubbles coming up. So I think we did really well. And if you're like me, oh, see, I went over the edge a little bit. Don't get too aggressive. Go little bits. I always do this on camera. I always make such a mess. Go slow into the corners. And if you need to, you can use a skewer and just pull it out to the edges a little bit. Now that we have this almost covered, you want to set it down on a really flat surface and let it cure overnight. We don't want to fiddle with this, and it needs to be a flat surface. I'm just going to move this around. It has some self-leveling properties, so it is going to flatten and bevel as it dries. And of course it's going to dry crystal clear. So we're going to set this aside and we're going to let it dry, but I'm going to show you, I have a couple pieces of jewelry, smaller pieces, and we're also going to do those. Now this is the same technique as the other piece, except a smaller quantity. I have these little creamers and they make great little things to set them on. Now the big thing for this is I have a thing on the back, so it's not laying completely flat, but I think that's good. And I have another charm that we can add some in. It's going to lay flat on that. And let's pour some on. Now I grabbed this syringe because I think it might be a little bit easier. We just want to make sure we're not incorporating any bubbles. You can pour it on. But I think because it's smaller, this might be a little bit easier to apply. Apply it in the middle and then just let it flow. We don't have any air bubbles. We're doing well. And then I'm going to add a bit more into this one. We can take our skewer. We can just push it to the edges really gently. Now with resin, I have seen people that will use their heat gun and just lightly go over the top if you have some air bubbles. That will work with this. So if you have to, just very gently take your heat gun, or I wouldn't use a hairdryer because I think it would be too much of a blast, but a heat gun, go over it and it'll bring those air bubbles to the surface and get rid of them, but we don't have any here. This works fantastic. Okay, this is beveled along the edges, and we're just gonna set these aside and let them dry for 24 hours. We'll be back. Okay, we are back and it's dry. Now my Scrabble tile ended up in the middle of the night, maybe sometime, kind of going off kilter, and it all kind of fell to the one side. So that was a fail. You have to make sure that you have your projects nice and flat. This little, I think it's called a basil. on the back, if you know what it's called, the actual technical term. It kept it from laying flat. So that one was a fail. But I did these 2 charms and you can see how beautiful they turned out. Nice and crystal clear. It's got a little bit of a dome on it. And our piece of wood that we did this scrapbooking, it's really hard to see on camera. I hope you can see. It does work best on smaller pieces. I find when you do something too big, I probably did this just a little bit too big. It does get a little bit of a wavy texture to it, but you still have that really nice crystal clear top coat that's a lot cheaper than using a glaze or a resin or Mod Podge Dimensional. It's something that you can experiment with and see how it works for you and add it to your crafting arsenal of things to try. I really like the way that it works and I hope you will too. And that's it, a DIY dupe for resin and pouring glaze that's safe, budget friendly, and gives you that same stunning shine. If you like this, click here to watch my next tutorial on the perfect image transfer with polyacrylic, and I'm gonna see you over there.